A battery is a piece formation of two or more pieces either on a diagonal or on a rank or on a file. Such a formation of long range pieces is called as battery in chess. Now, which are the long range pieces? Obviously, the queen, the rook and the bishop. Now, what is the importance of such a formation in chess? Why is a separate term given to this formation? So, whenever the long range pieces pile up on the same file, rank or diagonal, that means that they are putting a lot of pressure on that line. So, here as you can see, these two rooks combined with the queen are putting a lot of pressure on this D file and especially on this D2 pawn over here. So, therefore, white here needs to be extremely careful because of this deadly attack that black is planning over here, because black has formed a battery on this D file. Similarly, as you can see, white has formed a battery with his two rooks on the 4th rank. That means they are putting a lot of pressure, especially against this black bishop over here. Similarly, white's queen has formed a battery along with this bishop over here on this A1 H8 diagonal, and together they are trying to aim at this weak F6 pawn. So, battery is ideally formed either on semi-open or open files, ranks or diagonals. And the key objective of forming a battery is to attack a weak square or a weak pawn so that the position can be blast open and then it becomes easy to invade into the enemy's territory. Now let's learn battery with the help of some examples. So here is a very simple example of a battery. So white's queen and bishop has formed a battery on the A2 G8 diagonal, and together they are putting a lot of pressure on this F7 pawn over here. So if black isn't careful over here and makes a random move like B5 attacking this bishop, then he will quickly lose to bishop takes pawn checkmate. Let's look at another example. Here black has formed a battery on the A8 H1 diagonal, but white doesn't really understand the importance of this battery and ends up making a mistake by playing rook to G3, attacking this queen over here. But this move quickly loses because black can now play rook takes H3 check. Now white here has only three options. If he captures this rook with his rook, then queen G2 would be a checkmate. Let's go back. If he captures this rook with his king, then queen H5 would be a checkmate. And if white takes his king to the G1 square, then queen H1 would be a mate. Look how beautiful all of these black pieces are working together in order to checkmate white's king. Let's look at one more example. Here white has formed a strong battery on the G file, and together they are targeting this weak bishop over here, but currently this bishop is being protected by this knight. So how can white win this game? It's simple. White first removes the defender of this bishop. So white plays queen takes knight check, king moves to G8, the only square, and now B4 check. It's a check by this bishop over here. Black plays rook to F7, the only move, blocking the check, and now white plays queen takes rook check. Look how beautiful this battery of the queen and the bishop is. And here black is completely losing. Doesn't matter where he moves his king to, because whichever square he moves the king, white can simply finish off the game with queen takes bishop checkmate. Look how strong this battery was of this queen and the rook. Now since you have very well understood this concept, let's put your skills to test. So it's puzzle time. So here is the first puzzle. Black here makes the mistake of capturing this rook over here, and now white can easily win the game. So can you find the winning move? So obviously queen h7 is a checkmate because of the strong battery on this diagonal. I know this was easy. Let's move on to a slightly challenging one. So here is the second puzzle. So black has just checked the white king and he has three options to move, out of which the safer option is moving the king to the f1 square. But white makes the mistake of taking the king to the corner. So can you now win material by forming a battery with two of your pieces? Your time starts now. So the winning move starts with queen to a1 check. Since you have a dark squared bishop over here, you know that after this check the only square white king would have is this h2 square, which can immediately be attacked by your dark squared bishop. That is why the winning move starts with queen a1 check. King moves to h2 and now bishop e5 check. White will likely block the check with g3 and now queen to b2 check. King moves to the corner and now bishop takes g3, threatening to checkmate on the h2 square. And now white is completely losing over here. There is no way that he can save his game. Either he will have to give up his material or he will quickly get checkmated over here. Here is a third puzzle. Here white has formed a battery on this diagonal, whereas black has formed a battery on this rank. But right now it is white's turn to move, and if white finds the correct move, then he can easily win this game. So what is the winning move over here? So if this bishop was not over here, then white could have easily checkmated on the h7 square. So the winning move is rook to f8, pinning this bishop to the king and threatening to checkmate on the h7 square. There is no way that black's pieces can come and protect over here, so black will start a counter attack with rook to g1 check. King cannot make the mistake of moving to any of these squares on the f file, otherwise black will skew white's pieces, after which white will simply lose this rook. Therefore the king moves to the h2 square and now rook h1 check, bishop takes rook, queen a2 check, king moves to h3, queen a3, attacking this rook over here. But white can now sacrifice this rook with rook takes g8 check, king takes rook, and now bishop d5 check, king moves to h8, now bishop to e4, threatening to checkmate one more time on the h7 square. King moves to g8, and now you don't want to check the opponent king over here, because that way he will be simply able to escape via this route, and this side of the board is wide open, so it would be very hard to checkmate the black king. So that is why instead of giving a check on the h7 square, we will give check with our queen on the e6 square. Now the king has two options, f8 and the h8 square. If he moves to the f8 square, then you can simply play bishop to d5, threatening to checkmate over here. And now black can't stop this checkmate. If he plays queen to e7, then you can simply finish off the game with queen g8 checkmate. Look how beautiful and strong this battery is working throughout the endgame. Let's go back. So king to f8 is definitely not working, and if black here plays king to h8, then white can simply play queen e8 check. The king cannot move over here because this is currently being controlled by our bishop. So queen interposes and now queen takes queen is a checkmate. Let's move on to the fourth puzzle. Here black is up in material by 3 points, but his king is wide open over here, his pieces are undeveloped, and white's pieces are in a much better position to attack this king. So can you try to form a battery with your pieces in order to checkmate black's game? I'll give you 5 seconds to think. So first you have to recognize with which of your pieces you can form a battery. Either you can form a battery with this bishop and this queen on a diagonal, or you can form a battery with this queen and the rook on this h file. But forming a battery with the queen and the rook on this h file would not make sense, because this h file is currently being blocked by your own pawn. So it doesn't make sense over here. So you have to find a way to form a battery with your bishop and your queen. And the sensible diagonal that I can see is this diagonal over here. So now the bishop can come over here and the queen can come to any one of these two squares. But one of these moves gets you into a completely winning position, and that, my friend, is queen to f5. Now why queen to f5? So basically when you're playing queen to f5, you are pinning this knight to the rook. This rook is completely undefended over here, so this knight cannot move anywhere. If he moves, then you can immediately capture this rook and checkmate black's game anyway. Obviously after this bishop has come over here. So therefore queen to f5 wins the game and not queen to e4. So the winning move over here is queen to f5, pinning this knight to the rook, and now you are preparing to get this bishop over here on this diagonal. Now black has already here understood your plan. So he might play queen to a4 check, you can simply block the check with your rook, and now black might play queen to a6, trying to come to this side of the board, but that doesn't really help because now you can play bishop to d3, forming a battery on this diagonal and threatening to checkmate over here. And now it doesn't matter what black plays here because all of the moves simply cannot stop this checkmate. Do like this video and subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed solving these cool puzzles. And now it's time for the question of the day. White here was up in material by 2 points, but he ended up making a mistake by playing c4, attacking our rook over here and totally undermining the importance of this strong battery that black has formed on this diagonal. So, can you find the winning moves for black over here? Let me know your answers in the comments box and I'll see you in the next video.